FNAF has been around for 11 years, and a lot of change has happened over those years. We went from a single point and click game to free roam and VR games, collaborations and even movies. The games were originally made by a single developer, but now there's a whole team working on the new FNAF games. But not every FNAF fan is gonna be happy with all these changes. Like some fans prefer the old FNAF games over the newer ones, and some others hate the FNAF movie for not being scary and gory. This leads to a divided community that will hate each other for not having the same opinion. You often see this on social media. Almost every day there's a new controversial topic about FNAF. Of course, there's always gonna be hate on a franchise, there's no escaping from that. But I started noticing a bit more with FNAF. There are so many disagreements in the community that it seems like we're falling apart. So is this a sign to end the franchise for good? Or is there a way to make every FNAF fan happy and continue the franchise for another 10 years? I'll be answering those questions in this video and see how the community got so divided. Let's talk about the games, the main reason this whole franchise exists. It all started with one creator, who turned his creepy animations into horrifying games. Back in 2014, FNAF 1 became very popular. The game was very simple: sit and survive the nights, check the cameras and close the doors. Even though it was such a simple idea, it worked very well for a horror aspect. Not seeing the animatronics move on the cameras is so unnatural, the different Easter eggs in this game gives off an eerie feeling, and the sound ambience really fits this creepy environment. It was such a unique type of horror game we've never seen before. Of course, with this success, Scott decided to make more games. He made the second game in only 2 months. Within 4 years, Scott made 7 official FNAF games and 1 spin-off game. And he made all of these games by himself. After making the same type of games over and over again, Scott wanted to make the next game a bit different. He wanted to make a VR game for the franchise, but Scott had zero idea on how to do this. So he did something he was very scared of, working together with another game developer. The reason Scott didn't want this is because he was scared the company would damage the franchise, like messing up the lore or creating ideas that didn't make sense for a FNAF game. He finally ignored these problems and reached out to a company called Steelwool. Steelwool was well known for making different VR games, a perfect game developer to make a FNAF VR game. So they worked together, and on May 28, 2019 they released FNAF Help Wanted. The game became very popular and was beloved by a lot of fans. And that's no surprise, FNAF in VR works very good. I even think it's one of the scariest VR games that ever exist. With this success, Scott wanted to make more games with Steelwool. So on December 17, 2021, they released Security Breach. And oh boy, this game had a lot of quirks. First of all, the game was delayed 2 times. Scott said the reason for this is that Steelwool got too ambitious on the game and made it bigger and bigger. If they would have released it on the promised date, it would be a half-finished game. So expectations were really high for this game, especially because the trailers were always in the state of play, which is a big deal. But when the game finally released, it was one big buggy mess. There were frame drops almost every second or minute, some areas took forever to load, and the game sometimes crashed on specific places.
The game just crashed.
It didn't even matter if you had the best gaming PC on the world. The game was just so badly optimized. Almost no one played on the highest settings, because the game would always crash. And besides being a poorly running game, it was also very unclear on what to do. The missions just didn't give a good answer on where you need to go. Also, the endings were a bit disappointed. They all ended with a comic book style and no cutscenes. Except for one ending, the burn trap ending, which makes it even stranger. And the main antagonist is not even present in the game for more than 5 minutes. The game just felt like it was still not finished. A lot of fans were not happy with this. Our first free roam FNAF game looked like trash compared to other free roam games. After a few months, Steelwool fixed the game performance with a lot of patch notes. It was still not perfect, but it was more playable. Around this point, the fanbase started to divide more. Some people loved the idea of free roam FNAF and liked the big personalities of the animatronics, others disagreed and just wanted the old point and click games back. One of the big changes of the old and new FNAF games is the horror aspect. The newer FNAF games are not scary at all. Yes, they have their moments, like the endoskeleton part, but it never beats the original horror of the older FNAF games. With the older games, you never feel comfortable playing it. There is always that voice in your head saying you could get jumpscared any second now. This new free roam idea also attracted a younger audience. A 13-year-old kid would probably choose Security Breach above FNAF 1. It's less scarier and easier to beat. Because of this, FNAF started to weaken a bit more on its horror and goriness. You can definitely see this on the movies. They are not meant to be a hardcore horror movie. Some OG FNAF fans feel like they have been replaced by this newer fanbase. It seems like their favorite old FNAF games will never return again and FNAF will be forever soft. I'm not saying that every OG fan has the same feeling. There are a lot that do accept this new FNAF era and like where it's going. Before I talk more about the games, I want to discuss the movies. There are a lot of different opinions on the FNAF movies. Some fans absolutely love the movies and say it's their favorite movie of all time. Others say it's a bad movie and are disappointed it's not a 16 or 18 plus film. And then you have people who are just happy that the FNAF movie exists, even though it's not the best. I'm one of those people. I think the movie was not great, but as a FNAF fan I can still enjoy it. I gotta agree with people saying that the movie should have been at least 16 plus. I think a FNAF movie that's more focused on horror and disturbing scenes would fit FNAF much better, especially because the movies are based on the old games. It's very clear why Scott didn't want to make an adult movie. The fanbase now consists of people of different ages. So to make it possible for every FNAF fan to see the movie, he had to lower the age restriction to 13 years old. Even though that didn't matter here in the Netherlands, because the film was age restricted to 16 years anyway. This of course disappointed a part of the adult fans and caused more controversial opinions. Some fans try everything to defend the movie from being called bad, and others try everything to make the movie sound like a joke. This also divided the fanbase more. Let's talk about the spin-off games, starting with FNAF World. Recently, Scott talked about a second FNAF game is in the works. The fans believe it can only be two things, Security Breach 2 or FNAF World 2. There's a huge part of the community that would love to see another FNAF World game. But there's also a part of the community that don't want to see a sequel on this game. Now of course these are just normal opinions, that doesn't hurt the community. But there are some people who would rather see a FNAF World game than an official FNAF game, and some fans can't take that. I myself am not a big FNAF World fan, because I don't like RPG games. But I don't hate the people who do like the games. If a FNAF World 2 game were to come out, I would have no problem with that. If it makes part of the community happy, that's fine to me. There's another FNAF spin-off game with mixed opinions, and that's FNAF AR. This game no longer exists, but back in the day it had some controversial takes. It was a game made for your mobile, so everyone had access to this. The idea is that the animatronic broke into your house and you need to try to capture it. I never played the game myself. It's a fun idea for a FNAF mobile game, but it had some scummy business. First of all, to capture the animatronics, you needed to use lures. I believe you had 5 in your inventory, and if you used them all, you had to wait a few hours to get them back. But you could also buy more lures in the shop. This game also included new skins for the animatronics, which looked very good, but you had to buy special lures to get them. And if you failed capturing the new animatronic, you wouldn't get them in your gallery. So you basically just wasted your money. There was also an option to buy the skin, but that cost you around 50 to 20 euros. Part of the fans, including me, believed that this game was just a money grab. A lot of the times Illumix abandoned the game and came back out of nowhere to release another skin. It seemed in my eyes that they didn't really care about the community. I got to say, some of the skins looked very cool, but I don't like the fact that you can buy lures to get the skins. This was definitely the FNAF game where I mostly disagreed on people who supported this. Also this made the community more divided. But looking back at all the problems Security Breach had, did Steel fix these problems in their newer games? In my opinion, yes, they definitely stepped up their game. They gave the Rune DLC free for us as an apology for Security Breach. And this DLC is better than the game itself. It runs much better, there are a lot more jump scares, and the lore makes sense now. Steel will definitely try to make it at least scarier than Security Breach, and they succeeded. The environment of the place is so much darker. It does still miss the horror and disturbing moments, but it's nice to see Steel actually trying. There is one game from Steel that doesn't have a lot of attention, and I don't know why. I'm talking about Secret of the Mimic. This game is in my opinion Steel's best FNAF game yet. Everything that they did wrong in the previous games, they fixed in this game. It runs good, it has a great story, good endings, and it has some actual scary moments. Every time I run freely around the building, I always have this feeling the mimic's right behind me. You hear random voices in costumes, and in some rooms he can become active in any suit. The endings feel very rewarding and the story is understandable. This game tells us the backstory of the main antagonist, and it works. After playing the game, I'm so more interested in the Mimic. They even tried to bring back the gory part of FNAF and put actual dead bodies in the suits. It's still a bit soft by not showing blood and hiding them in costumes, but again, it's great to see Steel actually trying. I don't know why this game is so forgotten. Maybe because it doesn't look like a FNAF game. But seriously, that's not a reason to say it's bad. If you have never tried this game out before, I highly recommend you play it. Even though it's a good game, it still not fixes the issue of a dividing community. there are people who still don't like the free roam FNAF games. So Scott did try something different and released Into the Pit, a game made by Cat Studios. The whole game is made in an 8-bit style. It's still kind of a free roam game, but with fewer options. What I love most about Into the Pit are the secret minigames. They look exactly like Scott's old minigames, which is a great nostalgic throwback. But the problem still remains, this is not a point and click game. On this point, I don't know if we will ever get to see a classic FNAF game again. It's still possible, but it's definitely out of the new FNAF era. Luckily, we have a lot of creative people in the community who still make these point and click games. Unfortunate, there are still people that cannot accept this new change and keep hating on the newer games. I have no problem on people who are hating on the newer FNAF games. If they don't like it, it's their choice. You can't change that. But what I do find a problem are the people actively posting hate comments on Steelwool. It doesn't get you anywhere and you just make a fool out of yourself. If they don't like the way FNAF is going now, then why are they still active in the community? They could also ignore the new FNAF games and play some fan-made games. But don't spread any hate on people who do like the games. They just want to enjoy the new FNAF, just like you did with the old FNAF. Of course, this is impossible with social media, but I just wanted to tell you my opinion on this. I also get a lot of hate comments now in my recent videos, telling that my rankings are absolute shit. But you know what I do about these comments? I ignore them. This is the best way of dealing with the haters. Try to be better than them. If you enjoy the new FNAF games, keep enjoying them. Don't let anyone else let you think otherwise. Okay, we are getting a bit out of track here. Let's answer the question, should FNAF end? I think it's obviously
No.
It should not end. There are always new and creative ideas for FNAF, and I think the way that they are going with the Mimic is really good. But I don't think it's possible to make every FNAF fan happy the way it goes. Like I said, some fans just want the old FNAF games back, and others want to see more horror in the newer games. Unfortunate, I don't think we will see that again soon. To keep a franchise alive, you have to make changes. I don't think anyone would like to see 15 different FNAF point and click games. They will get boring over time. But I can understand people that say FNAF is getting soft. It's not in its prime horror. I mean, I would also like to see an 18+ FNAF movie instead of a teen focused movie. If you were to ask me about how FNAF is doing now, I would say great. I love the old games and new ones, and if Steel just continues making games like Secret of the Mimic, I will be very happy. So for me, FNAF can continue this way at least for another 10 years. But that's my opinion. What do you think of FNAF? Is it getting weaker, or do you think it's in its prime right now? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel.